I accidentally built two completely different types of businesses before I even realized what the difference was. One pays me when I do the work, the other only pays me because I get other people to do the work. And if you're a Gen Z like me trying to start a business, choosing the wrong one first can waste a ton of your time. So this leaves you with a very big question. What business should you really start? Assuming that you're Gen Z. Now, as seen from the thumbnail, there are two types that I want to compare today. Service businesses and system businesses. So what's the difference? What are the pros and cons? And which one should you start if you don't know anything? That's what I'm here to explain because I currently run both, and let me tell you, they are extremely different. Also, just a quick disclaimer, I'm 20 years old, I don't make 7 figures, I don't sell any courses, and I'm still figuring out my life as well. But I do currently run both a service business and a system style business, so I can at least show you the difference from someone actually doing it. Now, a service business is, well, in the name, any type of business that provides a service. You need your lawn mowed? That's a service. Need a video editor for your YouTube channel? That's a service. Need someone to fly across the world, secure a suspicious briefcase, and bring it back to you in one day? That's a service. And literally anything that involves any sort of labor, I would say, is classified as a service-based business. It could be online or in person. Pretty straightforward, right? To give my personal example, I currently do voiceovers or voice narrations, you could say, full-time. This is a service I provide to a lot of YouTube channels and some commercials in return for some moolah. Oh, and if you want to know how I made over 37 grand outside my 9 to 5, there will be a video at the end of this one for you to watch as well. But for now, you need to lock in and decide which type of business you want to start. See, service businesses are an amazing way for getting your foot through the door. Why? Because, well, like I said, you can literally start any sort of service business. In fact, I would say that you don't even need to be good at it, and you don't even have to hate it. Surprising, right? I mean, you love dogs? Go and walk your neighbor's dogs. You like doing art? We'll make some thumbnails for, let's say, some YouTube channels. I'm telling you, it can literally be anything. And a lot of the time, you don't have to be a pro at it. I mean, I literally just started doing voiceovers, let's say about a year and a half ago, and I was completely horrible then. But I mean, I was good enough, right? And then after 6 months of consistently perfecting my voice, now I can just do multiple styles of tones, styles, and paces because it just naturally became my daily practice. So then you might be wondering, well, then what is a system? And honestly, to be completely honest, this is where things might overlap, so just do your best to pay attention closely. Now, as I mentioned before, a service is where you provide labor work for someone else. A system, however, barely even requires you to be present, or at least not as present. I mean, sounds pretty awesome, right? You just magically make a system and all of a sudden you got money flowing into your bank account while you chill on the beach doing nothing? Wrong. Completely wrong. You see, as simple as it sounds, running a system-based business still requires a lot of attention, not gonna lie. However, this time, instead of doing the labor yourself, it's all being outsourced. This means that you hire and manage other workers to take care of the heavy lifting. Like I said, I run both types of businesses. I do voiceovers to make a consistent income, and then I use that income to create YouTube channels that require investment for like editors, script writers, thumbnail designers, etc. It gets expensive, yes. Oh, and also just to reassure you pretty quickly, I do all the scripting, thumbnails, and editing for these videos. These are a lot more personal to me and honestly are genuinely a passion project that I just enjoy working on. So if you hear me or see my face on any other videos, it's probably for a client. Well, other than my two other personal channels called Ruboy or Vroom, if you come across those. Anyways though, with now that being said, I can confidently say that running both of these businesses have major differences. And some of these upcoming differences might steer you towards wanting to start one over the other. So here are some pros and cons of each type of business for you to get an idea of what you might want to start first. Oh, and I'd like to emphasize on the start first, because just because you choose either a service business or system-based business now, it doesn't mean you have to stick with that for eternity and never try something new. For the last time reminding you this, I literally do both. Now, I gotta say, running a service business is 100% the easiest start if you don't know anything about owning a business. Why? Because it can do anything you enjoy doing or already know how to do. And even if you get rejected a bunch of times, I promise there is always an ideal customer that is in need of whatever service you choose to provide. Another thing amazing about owning a service-based business is that you control your entire schedule. Need a week to go on vacation? Done. There's all of a sudden an emergency that you need to attend? Work can wait. I will admit, sometimes you will get unhappy customers if a project is late or if you aren't replying as quickly as you normally do. Or, well, as fast as they would expect, honestly. But don't even be discouraged by that whatsoever. Branching off of this idea, you also get to gauge how much work you want to handle. Personally, with my voiceovers, I sometimes give myself a ton of work by simply just decreasing my pricing. And then when things get too chaotic or I just need a month or two to focus on other aspects of life, I simply raise my pricing back up and inform my clients that I'll be less available ahead of time. Oh, but what I really loved about starting my service-based business was the fact that I literally had little to no initial investment. What does that mean exactly? It means that I didn't have to spend any money whatsoever to provide the service that I decided to go with. I already had a microphone and a computer. I mean, that's literally all I needed. Of course, that just simply doesn't apply to all service businesses, and technically if I randomly choose to do voiceovers with none of the equipment that I had in the first place, I definitely would have had to pay a pricey down payment to even do the service. But that's exactly the point that I'm getting at. If it's possible, pick something that you can already work with what you got. My Blue Yeti microphone, by the way, is not ideal for professional voiceovers, but it got me through the first 6 to 8 months of getting some solid income to then eventually upgrade my equipment. Something I almost forgot to point out too about service-based businesses was that the profit margins are super high. And that pretty much just means that you can keep more money that you make rather than a system-based business. Alright, so now that you've got a good idea of what a service business is, let's go over what a system-based business is and how much it differs from services. Like I briefly said earlier, a system-based service is when you become the guy that outsources the labor for your work. And this is kind of where I realized that I may have used the wrong terminology with the word services, because not to confuse you, but service businesses can also become a system if done properly over time. To be completely honest, I just compared the word service to system because it just sounded fire in the thumbnail and title. Okay, but for real, I'm going to give you a quick example. Let's say that instead of me personally mowing my neighbor's lawn, I could pay a buddy like $20 and then charge the client $50. Now, immediately from literally that sentence alone, you can start to see both the pros and cons of running a system-based business. One massive pro is that I didn't do any labor whatsoever and can now focus on other high priority tasks like, let's say, marketing, accounting, booking clients even, you name it. However, the equally massive con here is that I just lost $30 because I got someone else to mow the lawn. I mean, if I had just done it myself, I would have gotten the full $50. This is a really important point to ponder on, because if currently you're leaning into wanting to start your personal service-based business, maybe tailor down your options of services you won't have to personally do yourself in the long run. Now, I don't want to ramble on too much, but having a service business that you can eventually scale, by the way, is super important. That's honestly the mistake that I made when going into voiceovers. You see, with a voiceover specifically, I just can't hire other people to fill in for me. So now I've hit a barrier where I can only make so much money because I only can book so many clients and because there's only so much time in the day. Yes, I can incorporate AI, but I just got to be careful with that. Well, we'll see what happens. I might do it. Oh, and let me tell you right now, as awesome as it sounds, being able to work here at home doing purely voiceovers 24/7 is pretty repetitive, which is exactly why I decided to invest my voiceover income into system-based projects. Alright, I'd like to now shift your attention to the 2 YouTube channels that I personally fund and half manage. Currently, I pay people to edit videos, create thumbnails, and write scripts. All I have to do now is record a voiceover and review some of the end results from the workers. Now, this is where major pros come in. I could easily have easily scaled my production by simply hiring more workers for each process. At the beginning, there was 1 editor, 1 thumbnail designer, 1 scripter, and now we have roughly 3 of each. And that exactly covers my second point, which is having a system work for me. I mean, guys, it would be physically impossible for me to script, voice, edit, and create a thumbnail for 8 videos a month by myself, especially considering the types of videos that are on that channel. I mean, it's literally only possible because I have enough money to pay for it all. That's where the con comes in though, because now I'm paying hundreds, even thousands of dollars for a bunch of videos to be produced, and also splitting the revenue with my co-partner who assists in the management. Now, not only does the YouTube channel have to profit, but it has to profit by a ton for me personally to make my money back. So for any one of you Gen Zs wanting to start a business, especially if you don't have a high-paying job or, well, any income at all, it just would be really difficult to start a system-based business in general. It really is just not a beginner-friendly model, I will admit. I mean, unless you have some money, of course. Again, I started doing voiceovers, my service-based business, before getting into more system-based businesses, aka my YouTube channels. Okay, let's wrap everything up here, because that was honestly a lot to take in and you probably still haven't found your answer. So, what business should a Gen Z individual like you and I start in 2026? The simple answer? I would say a service-based business. A freelancing business, one might call it. A service where you yourself go out and do some labor to make some change. Whether it's in lawn care, snow removal, dog sitting, voiceovers, video editing, whatever. It is definitely the easiest and most beginner-friendly way of starting a business and just making some small income. And if you're lucky, you can then scale your service business into a system-like business model. This is where you'll be able to pay other people to do the work for you, which, yes, means spending more money, but growing your business more overall. You see, both of these methods provide amazing lessons too, like learning to communicate, close sales, negotiate, manage, do accounting, marketing, designing. Guys, like the list just goes on. But if you want right now just a low risk, low initial investment, and quick way to make some money, just find yourself a service that you can sell to people. Because no matter what you choose to do, just remember to consistently adapt to what works with whatever resources that you already have around you, and eventually you'll just appreciate something that you can enjoy and, well, utilize for the future. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be started.